Hello everyone, my name is Talisha Inclon, and today I am going to be discussing Module 8, Chapter 18, that covers the symbolic convergence theory. To begin, I would like to present a short definition of the theory, followed by a description of the theory, highlighting its components by providing examples from my personal experiences. I will follow up with more real-world applications of the symbolic convergence theory. And to conclude, I will summarize how we have gained a new perspective on situations through the use of the symbolic convergence theory. According to the text, Borman defines the main principle of the symbolic convergence theory as sharing of group fantasies, creating symbolic convergence. For my example, I am going to use an example from my job. I work at a New York-style coal brick oven pizzeria. When we cook pizzas, we place the toppinged pizza on a paddle, which is then used as a tool to project the pizza deep into a 15-foot long coal brick oven. Occasionally, when a pizza is thrown into the oven, pizza toppings can fall off of a pizza onto another pizza. This particularly is common with rounder toppings such as meatballs or sausage. The text defines a dramatized message as an imaginative language by a group member describing past, future, or outside events, creative interpretations of then and there. Dramatizing message contains puns, wordplay, or figure of speech. At my job, we have a pizza cook named Thomas Lane, who about 2 years ago was diagnosed with testicular cancer. He underwent chemotherapy and ultimately ended up having one testicle removed. One day, when Thomas was working on a plain cheese pizza, it had come out of the oven with a single meatball on it, which had come off of another pizza. Thomas saw the humor in the similarities between himself and the pizza and decided to name the pizza after himself, titling it the Thomas Lane Special. The dramatizing message quickly caught on and spread throughout the staff, creating the fantasy chain. The text defines a fantasy chain as a symbolic explosion of lively agreement within a group in response to a group member's dramatizing message. Since then, every pizza that comes out of the oven with a single meatball on it spurs the reemergence of the fantasy coined as the Thomas Lane Special. The members to respond as they did when the first day they shared in the fantasy. These discussions of sharing dramatized message, fantasy chain, and symbolic cues are all separate pieces which make up the symbolic convergence theory, which stated previously is the sharing of group fantasy. Per the example I have provided, along with its components, you should now have a better understanding of what the symbolic convergence theory is, as well as what it is composed of. The real-world application of the symbolic convergence theory is clearly shown. Now that I have drawn examples from my own personal experiences, I will now make some inferences. The experience of my coworker having testicular cancer was obviously a negative one, which we all felt for him. By drawing an image of himself through the use of the pizza, we were able to use humor as an outlet to make light of a negative situation, as well as grow closer together as a staff. Now that I have made some inferences, I will discuss how these inferences can be transferred into other situations. The symbolic convergence theory can be used in numerous other parts of life. We can continue to create fantasy chains based off of other aspects of our work at a pizzeria, such as fantasy chains involving difficult customers or corporate visits, which could have negative experiences where the practice of symbolic convergence theory could allow us to find humor as a group. Outside of work, the symbolic convergence theory can be used in a vast array of areas of life, such as family get-togethers, church retreats, or even in school. The symbolic convergence theory has been described as the cookie-cutter approach to group analysis, and therefore can be valid in a vast array of situations. In conclusion, The language from the text allows us to create a social reality by taking a dramatized message, interpreting it into fantasy, and passing it through the fantasy chain. Through this experience, we are able to gain a common understanding or interpretation of the dramatized message. Through symbolic convergence, we are able to experience a range of implications as the benefits of humor through inside jokes or even the formation of bonds within a group. To summarize, the symbolic convergence theory dramatizes a message, creating fantasy, which is then passed through a fantasy chain. Thank you so much for watching.